PeopleSoft Test Framework is an incredibly powerful tool. We use it for both automated testing and robotic process automation. And I'm always looking for ways to make a test run faster. So let me show you a trick we teach in our PTF course. So I have in front of me a simple PTF test case. It logs into PeopleSoft. It's going to load up the user maintenance, user profile component, load up a row of data, a level 0 key, and then verify that an account is in fact locked. So let's run this test, make sure it works, and see how it processes. So of course, we're logging into PeopleSoft, and then it's going to load up the home page, wait for all of the tiles to load, and then navigate to the user maintenance component. Now it's going to switch to the advanced search page, wait, load up the row of data, wait, verify the result, and then show us the response. Now, if we were to set a clock on that, I can't say that the time took that long, really, to run the test, but I'm still wondering, are there ways to optimize the test? And with a test this simple, so if we shave off, say, half a second, is that really that big of a deal? Well, if you take this same test and then run that through a loop, you say it's half a second times however long it takes to iterate over all of that data, or, say you have 1,000 rows. Well, that's, 500 seconds. So the time can add up, but it isn't just that. See, we're going to run this test again. And each time you run the test, you have to wait for the test to run. So it isn't just the runtime in, say your testing environment where you're actually running the test, but it's also during your development effort in the amount of time it takes you to develop a test. So we can actually reduce the amount of time it takes for us to develop tests by reducing how long the tests run as we are testing our tests. Okay, so let's try a different test case. So I have a different user, this one, user PS. Let's run this test and we'll see how long it takes. And of course, I kind of expect it to take the same amount of time, right? It's doing the exact same things, but for different level 0 keys. Okay, so it navigates to the component. It switches to the advanced, well, first it waits, then it switches to the advanced search page. It waits, it enters data, it waits, hits the search button, waits. Whoa, wait, what? Did you see that? Okay, now when I typed in the first data, let's go back to the first test case. The first test case was a demo sample user in the HR system. It's A. Lee. Okay, and when we ran that, it ran to green. We entered in a search key and PTF automatically opened up, or shall we say the component processor automatically opened up the row for A. Lee. Okay, now we tried a different user ID. It was user ID PS. And when we ran it this time, the component processor actually found multiple matches. We can see that in the screenshot. It found multiple matches. And because there were multiple matches, the page prompt OK didn't work. Oh no. So what do we do now? Do we just click on a row? Say, for example, when we're recording the search results, do we try to do partial matches and then bring in a particular row? I don't really like that idea because these rows are subjective, meaning, they're identified by their index. So then do we do maybe some sort of a key set or some sort of other loop to iterate over and locate particular items, tracking and matching and verifying the data within each row until we find the match? I don't like that either. Is there another alternative? And this alternative I'm going to show you is the alternative that we teach to actually help improve performance of PTF tests. Now, this trick is based off of the way the component processor works. And that is that if you give a component the level 0 search keys in the URL, then PeopleSoft will bypass the search page, take you directly into a transaction. That's how developers transfer between components. That's how related content works. That's how related actions work. So let's try something. Let's go to the user profiles component, but rather than using the search page, what if we put the Opera ID directly in the URL? So in this case, if we translate that into PTF, this would be the Page.Prompt step, which normally has the menu component and market as the recognition. What we would be doing is adding the level 0 keys along with the level 0 key values to the URL. And you can see from a savings, what we're saving is a land on search page, wait, switch to advanced search, wait, enter value into text field, wait, hit page prompt OK, wait, data loads, wait. We're going directly to the level 0 transaction so that PTF can then right click, or shall we say, it can verify that is locked. You and I would, of course, if we were recording, right click to set the verify. So let's try user PS now. See, the problem that we had with PS is that when we typed in PS, well, that was actually a partial match because there were so many that the component processor said, hey, I see you typed in PS. You didn't mean like the user ID PS. You meant that's a partial match. Let me show you all of the results I found, right? Unfortunately, that doesn't work with PTF. So how might we work around that issue? And here's an answer. We put the value directly in the URL, and you can see that it bypasses the search page, loading up that one row of data. So let's test this out in PTF. What would this look like? So I have a clone of that test, and we're going to go to the page prompt step. We'll add in the level 0 key name, Oper ID, and we will hard code at this point, Oper ID equals a Lee. And let's comment out or deactivate the other two steps. And we'll run this. And what we're expecting is to bypass the search page and go direct to the row for a Lee. Homepage loads, page go to. Oh, that's amazing. It bypassed search and it seems so much faster. Let's try user PS. Last time we ran this test, ran it with just the standard recording in the search page, it ran to error. If we move the value into the URL, can we bypass that error? Let's find out. And again, waiting for the homepage to load, waiting for the tiles. From a PTF perspective, you may want to think about the tiles that you have on the home pages. The fewer tiles you have, the faster your homepage loads, of course. And the tiles that you have, the fewer dynamic tiles, probably more appropriate, the faster it loads. Insight dashboards? Pivot grids? And it failed. Why not? Oh, that's funny. Because user PS account is not locked. Actually, that one is unlocked. So no, from the run perspective, the functionality of the test, it ran to success. And in our PTF course, we talk about something called test-driven development. And with test-driven development and test-driven methodology, we want to test that our test works. Well, we might just say that this was in fact proving that our test worked because we asked the question, is this account locked? And it said, no, the account is not locked. And that is a failure. This is perfect. This is exactly what we want to see. Okay, so let's go back to our test because we have an issue now. And that issue is that we have hard-coded the keys into the recognition section. And the problem with that is that test cases don't change what's happening because test cases change what happened in the value column, not the recognition column. So here's what I want to do. Here's how I solve that. I'm going to right-click, insert, add step above. This one is going to be a variable, set value. We'll give it a name. How about just something simple, Oper ID. And then over here, we'll put a Lee. And then in the URL, we'll use Oper ID. So let's try this out now. And just to eliminate some confusion and make this test look cleaner, how about we delete these extra two items that we've deactivated, they're not being used. Now, it should be passing in a variable, and we should be able to change our test case data to load up different rows. So we'll try the default, and it should run to green, right? Because the account is locked. And if we wanted to, we could try a completely different account to ensure that it's locked as well. But this is actually a really good idea. So as you're creating your test cases, I recommend that you create both a green test and a red test case. So it's the same test, but different values. And the point there is to prove that your test actually works. Because you might have a test that runs to green, and You say, yay, that's awesome, it works. And then you actually put in some bad data and it still runs to green. You say, huh, that wasn't supposed to run to green. That was supposed to be a failure. And that's why we want to test the failure cases as well. So that's what we have. We have a failure case, and let's make sure that that failure case still fails. This is perfect. I've got my green test, I've got my red test, and I've optimized them that they're now running faster. And again, it may only be half a second, it may be a couple of seconds faster, and that by itself isn't that big of a deal. But all the iterations that you go through as you're developing your tests, it adds up to a big savings. And likewise, if you're using data loader or something to iterate over rows of data, that test will run dramatically faster as that amount of time saved compounds over each iteration. So what do you think? Is it reasonable to bypass the search page? I mean, are we missing out on some testing when we do that? We're not testing the search page, are we? Is that okay? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Now, at JSM Pros, we teach tips like this every day. Be sure to check out our website to see what we're offering next. Or do you prefer self-directed, self-paced recorded training? Subscribe to gain access to all of our recorded on-demand content, including hands-on activities designed to run on your servers. Now, here's another idea. Do you have a team that wants to learn more? Give us a call and let's get something scheduled. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more content, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.